Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name is Kent and the channel is EOS San Diego. I make videos about the blockchain, the EOS blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, and of course our own token called the Challenge token, which is, we're in version 7. We're going to get ready to release this here very soon, in the next couple of days. We also noticed that CoinMarketCap is starting to track our Challenge token. So if you could go to CoinMarketCap, if you have a CoinMarketCap, and like the Challenge token with the little star, we'd really appreciate it. Hopefully someday they do list us on that exchange. That'd be very beneficial to us. So anyway, I want to talk about Bitcoin and the US government actually pumping the Bitcoin price. This has kind of been a little bit of a difference from where we've been at in the past. I remember not long ago, in fact, I was talking to my son about this today, I think about a year ago or two ago, they were actually limiting crypto ads on Facebook and YouTube. So in other words, you couldn't run a crypto ad, and it was a very short period of time. And it affected this channel because I didn't get much as far as any monetary rewards or any subscriber views because of the fact that they were monitoring how many crypto ads, or even making a they're actually blocking crypto ads. You couldn't do crypto ads. So that's about a year or two ago. As today now, they're very favorable towards Bitcoin. In fact, the new Security and Exchange Commissioner, Gensler, is very pro-Bitcoin, probably the only cryptocurrency that he is absolutely endorsed, and that includes Ethereum. And of course, Janet Yellen had mentioned a little bit about Bitcoin today, and she's concerned about the electricity costs of mining Bitcoin. When were you ever heard of the Security and Exchange Commission or the Federal Reserve Chairman talking about the mining fees of Bitcoin? Very unusual given the Bitcoin history of Warren Buffett being rat poison and how often it's been considered nothing more than nefarious activity on the web, Bitcoin, nefarious activity on the web, to now being talked about and concerned about mining fees and costs, and also becoming the darling of Wall Street. Bitcoin is becoming the darling of Wall Street as people like Elon Musk and Michael Saylor are taking assets from their companies and buying Bitcoin and being congratulated for it, being talked about as far as their intelligence and their foresight as far as buying Bitcoin and helping the investors, the shareholders. So, and nobody's saying anything. The US government's not penalizing Elon Musk or Michael Saylor for buying Bitcoin. It's increased their shareholder value, and everybody's cheering what a great stroke of genius this is. That, boy, these guys have taken their assets, company assets, and bought Bitcoin with it. Now, if the government was really anti-Bitcoin, there would have been a problem with that, because as CEOs, they have a fiduciary responsibility duty to their shareholders, and if they're taking their money that is being regulated by the Security Exchange Commission, by the stock exchange, and they're using that investor money to buy Bitcoin, that is really nothing more than a nefarious activity on the internet, then they would step in and stop it. But they haven't stopped it. In fact, if anything, it's been endorsed. And not only has it been endorsed, it's actually being encouraged. So the only conclusion you can come from all of this activity is that the US government is actually switched the switch and is now pumping Bitcoin. So the Feds, Security Exchange Commission, and all the equity markets now are pumping Bitcoin. That's why you see Bitcoin at 50,000, and I think you're probably going to see Bitcoin a lot higher. No longer are people thinking about gold. They're going to start thinking about Bitcoin. Actually, gold's market cap's about 10 trillion. Bitcoin right now is just cleared $1 trillion the other day. Now it's dropped back a little bit, but it has been over $1 trillion, which once Bitcoin hits $1 trillion, you pretty much know it's in favored status selection now. Now it's one of the boys. It's no longer the dark web. Now it's in the clubhouse, and it's part of the new economy, and I think could be potentially a new currency for the world as Bitcoin rises in value. I think, and you got to go back. We got to step back a little bit. Go back to gold. Go back to gold. Prior 1971, when the U.S. government was on the gold standard, literally would give gold for the U.S. dollar for governments that would trade dollars for gold, and was on the gold standard until 1971, dropped off. And why did they drop that? Because they couldn't maintain it. They couldn't continue to print gold enough money. As they continued to print money, they didn't want to give up the gold for the paper currency, so they had to find something else that was attractive enough to trade in. So what they went to is from gold to oil. So it becomes the petrodollar. So now the U.S. dollar is traded as a commodity in oil. So literally the world has to hold the dollars in order to buy the oil to have industry. So literally they shifted from, a commodity that was very hard to manufacture, to mine, a scarce commodity, to a less scarce commodity, which is oil, now going to even a less scarce commodity, which is Bitcoin. So, but Bitcoin is still a commodity because Bitcoin requires real world energy to mine. So that's why you see Janet Yellen talking today about being concerned about the energy costs of mining, which is kind of a red herring because you can use any energy cost to mine Bitcoin. You could use wind or solar or natural gas or anything else like that to power generators to power electricity to mine Bitcoin. So as technology gets better and better with battery and solar and energy, it'll be less expensive to mine Bitcoin. But the theory, I think, is that you allow Bitcoin to rise to the U.S. dollars, the U.S. dollar overall market cap, which is what, 25 trillion, maybe more, I don't know. But you raise it to that level, so essentially Bitcoin and the US dollar are at the same level. So that if you now own Bitcoin, you own essentially the US dollar because they're at the exact same level of 20 trillion. And now people will start to trade in Bitcoin as they trade in the dollars. And of course the Treasury then can print dollars to buy Bitcoin, which still gives them a little bit of room to be able to print money, but it's equal to Bitcoin. So they buy the Bitcoin with the dollars. So I think this is an interesting concept, and I think it's one that's probably very likely to take place, is that the US government is pumping Bitcoin because now they have capitulated. They realize that this is going to be the new world currency, and now they want it to go up, to rise to the value of the dollar bill, and it will more or less absorb the dollar bills as the cryptocurrency. And it really is the best cryptocurrency to take over, the best thing to take over, because it's without government. It doesn't have any government that has designed it or backed it or do anything. Bitcoin is literally something that is anonymous, and anybody can stake and buy. I mean, not stake. Anybody can buy Bitcoin without thinking that they're doing China a favor or doing the U.S. dollar a favor, or they're doing Russia a favor, or they're doing any other economy a favor. It's neutral, is what I'm trying to say. It's totally neutral. So I do believe that the U.S. government has capitulated, or maybe this has been a long-term designed plan to let it happen this way. But for whatever reason, there's too much acceptance of Bitcoin right now for them not to think that Bitcoin is not going to be the future, and that Bitcoin will take over everything. Bitcoin, Max Kaiser says this all the time, that Bitcoin literally will take over everything. And I think he may be correct. He's been correct so far. I mean, I listened to his video today, and he's talked about how he's been tracking Bitcoin since it was a couple $1 million market cap. Now it's 1 trillion. And you talk about overtaking silver, overtaking gold, and now getting to the equal value of the US dollar. It has not stopped with anything. So I don't know why it would stop now. At $1 trillion, why it wouldn't take over everything and literally become the void to fill the hole of money and still have a real world connection to electricity, which is what the US government's always had with gold and with the petrodollar, with the oil. So I think that could be a possibility, which means that if you're owning Bitcoin and they're going to pump Bitcoin to equal the US dollar, which looks kind of like it could possibly happen, your Bitcoin could be worth $1 million. So $1 million Bitcoin, very, very attractive. If it goes to gold standard, it's 500,000. So I think that Bitcoin's got some pretty good upside potential right now. So anybody that's talking down Bitcoin right now just hasn't really thought it through and hasn't really seen that the government is actually very pro-Bitcoin and pumping Bitcoin. You couldn't be more bullish about Bitcoin after seeing how the U.S. government is being so pro-Bitcoin as far as the way they're allowing this to happen. Like I say, with investors and CEOs of major companies right now, Tesla is like the darling of the stock market with the way it's appreciated. Elon Musk is a cult hero. Elon Musk buys Bitcoin. If Elon Musk buys Bitcoin, then perhaps there's an opportunity for them to back him off a little bit. Well, they're not doing that. In fact, if anything, everybody's giving him a high five for the buying the Bitcoin. And also, the other thing very interesting today, I noticed that Bitcoin took a little bit of a dump, a little bit of a dip today. And of course, who's in the news? Elon Musk saying it's a little too high. Well, Elon, if you're thinking it's a little too high, why did you just buy it recently for $1.5 billion or $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin if you think it's too high? Also, if you're owning $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, why are you saying negative things about the Bitcoin market? So that tells me Elon wants to buy some more Bitcoin because he's trying to back off the market a little bit by saying it's too high. So I think Elon's trying to buy some more Bitcoin, and he's giving us the old 1-2 shuffle like he did before. Just a little bit before they did the $1.5 billion buy of Bitcoin, he was talking about how he thought Bitcoin was basically the dark web and how he didn't own any. So he was giving us a little bit of the 1-2 there, the 1-2 shuffle, now you see me, now you don't, kind of bull BS. Elon's a little bit kind of tricky that way. He will kind of throw you up. He likes to play games with his tweets and with his social media. He likes to throw you off and make you think something different than what he's actually doing. So whenever Elon starts to be a little bit bearish, I start to get a little bit bullish, because that's the last time I was really irritated with him, when he was talking about Bitcoin and all of a sudden he buys $1.5 billion worth of it. And actually Michael Saylor tipped us off that was going to happen. He said, I talked to Elon and said I'd give him the playbook on how to buy Bitcoin, and this is it. Well, it didn't happen, wasn't much longer later, and then it actually did happen. So Michael Saylor did tip us off about Elon buying Bitcoin. And I think Elon today kind of tipped us off that he's wanting to buy some more. So you could very well see this play out, where it goes from, the US dollar goes from backing by gold, backing by oil, now to be backed by Bitcoin. And I think that's the direction we're going. What else could it be? I mean, you talk about a digital dollar now with $1 trillion market cap in Bitcoin, and now all of a sudden you're going to introduce the digital dollar? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to stick with the winner right now. The guy like Paul Tudor Jones, the fastest horse in the race, which is Bitcoin. The US dollar is just going to rise to the level of Bitcoin and kind of be absorbed by Bitcoin. Once it's absorbed by Bitcoin, then they will be able to print money to buy Bitcoin, and they will still be able to then run their printing presses, but it'll just be measured in Bitcoin instead of being measured by petrol, oil, or be measured by gold and silver. So stay tuned. I think that's the direction we're taking. Appreciate you watching.